Hi everyone, good evening. Because I'm taking this video in the evenings. If you're watching in the morning or afternoons or even at midnight, I would say the same things. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic related to the government, and this is gonna be so fun to be discussed because today's topic is about public debt, and this material was made based on our paper that we was arranged a couple weeks ago, but we just had a chance to present it to you guys through this video today. As we know that we lived in the pandemic era a couple of years ago, and everything was completely changed, either from the things we could see through our eyes or we could feel it through our heart. Like for example, we truly saw the transformation from manual into digital, such as schools. Before COVID 19 hit our country, or specifically before 2020, we went to school and met our friends and teacher directly, and so sudden, without warning, without preparing some things, we were quickly insisted to study at home because COVID 19 spread to our country in 2020. And another example, we can see it from the health sector, maybe like lots of people died, and many people were affected by the fires. And actually, that event. And actually, what affected society also affected the governments because the governments needed to find a solutions, and it must be like needing amount of money, and now we were going to discuss about that. Our paper and our presentations, our materials is actually under the title Sovereign Debt Management in the Post-Pandemic Era, Challenges, Opportunities, and Implications for National Development. We think like providing the importance of sovereign debt is really necessary in this topic because we need to know the why, like why the government needs that, why the government need that. So that is why we provide you with the background studies, what's the importance of sovereign debt in fiscal policy. For you guys who don't know the meaning of fiscal policy, if I'm not mistaken, fiscal policy is actually a policy that is used by the government to manage public revenue and expenditures, which is aiming to fix the economy issues that happens in the country. There are three important sovereign debts in fiscal policy, including financing budget deficits, support for development programs, and the last is infrastructures development. Financing budget deficit. Sovereign debt, or easily to say public debt, may allow the governments to finance the budget deficits when expenditure exceeds the revenue. And this borrowing is very important during times of the economic recession when tax revenues decline. And by issuing debt, the government can maintain public services without having to drastically cut spending that could worsen the economic conditions. The second is support for development programs, which aims to improve the social welfare and economic growth by borrowing. They can actually invest in critical sectors such as health, education, and poverty. And the third one is infrastructures development. By financing the infrastructures development projects such as roads, bridges, schools, and hospitals through sovereign debt or public debt, the government can stimulate economic growth and increase overall productivity. Um, another big, another things that we provide into our background studies is the role of debt in financing national development, especially post COVID 19. We need to know the role of the debt, especially post COVID 19. There are three aspects. Actually, there are many more, but we provide you only three. The first is infrastructure development, second, education sector development, and third one is health sector development. Infrastructure development, as I've mentioned before, that the debt is also used for the infrastructure development, because if we actually wait for the country having enough money to build some things, we're going to be left behind from the other country, which is it's going to be take a longer time to be a developed country. And also we are, as a citizens, are going to be impacted because we wait for the government to have enough money for that. The second is education sector development. The debt can be used to finance education reforms, including like building in new schools, upgrading facilities, and investing in the digital learning tools. And also, I think the scholarship may be included in this education sector development. The last one is health sector development. Um, Health sector's development, I mean, the debt can also help the finance and expansions of healthier facilities, like also the procurement of medical supplies and development of dental technologies. And the country may need to borrow to enhance their capacity and respond to the health crisis, like COVID-19. um, and to be to understand more about public debt, I actually provide you by a video on the next slide, which is I'm going to play it first, and I'm going to tell you and explain a bit about that.
Hah, utang. Sebagian besar dari kita pasti udah paham banget apa itu utang. Entah berutang atau mengutangi, kita pasti pernah melakukannya di kehidupan sehari-hari. Nah, yang akan kita bahas bukan tentang utang ke teman, atau ke mantan pacar, atau utang yang ada di balik batu. Tapi ini utang pemerintah negara kita, Indonesia. Mari kita mulai dengan pertanyaan, jika kita boleh berutang, apakah negara juga boleh melakukannya? Terus, kenapa ya? Dan apakah perlu? Faktanya, Indonesia adalah rumah bagi ratusan juta jiwa yang kebahagiaannya menjadi PR untuk kita semua. Rumah bagi aku, kamu, dan dia yang sama-sama ingin bahagia. Tapi tantangan untuk membuat kita bahagia masih ada. Maka dari itu, negara perlu pengeluaran yang sangat besar untuk menghadapi tantangan tersebut demi kemajuan ekonomi yang adil dan merata, menjadikan Indonesia menjadi negara maju dan mampu bersaing dengan negara lainnya. Tapi, ternyata pendapatan negara kita yang berasal dari pajak dan bukan pajak belum cukup untuk menutupi seluruh biaya kebahagiaan tersebut. Terus, gimana dong? Ya, berutang bisa jadi salah satu solusinya. Karena kita nggak mungkin kan nunggu, apalagi nunggu hujan duit dari langit. Sekarang bayangin ya, misalnya kamu punya cita-cita membeli rumah untuk modal melamar si dia. Tapi uang kamu nggak cukup untuk membeli rumah secara tunai hari ini. Kamu pun memutuskan untuk menabungnya aja, dengan harapan bisa membeli rumah tersebut di masa depan. Bukannya malah kebeli, karena kelamaan, rumah itu malah jadi naik berkali-kali lipat harganya. Dan ya ditambah sih dia udah keduluan direbut orang. Sedih. Nah, sama dengan negara kita. Jika negara menunda pembangunan MRT, jalan tol, pelabuhan, sekolah, rumah sakit, bandara, jaringan internet, dan sarana prasarana lainnya karena menunggu duitnya banyak dulu, yang rugi adalah kita, juga bahkan seluruh rakyat Indonesia. Karena penundaan itu akan membuat kita semakin tertinggal dalam dunia yang sedang cepat berkembang ini. Emang kita mau jadi penduduk negara yang terbelakang? Ketika negara sebelah sudah bisa mendarat di Mars, nggak mungkin kan kita memilih untuk tetap duduk dan berjalan? Nah, jadi apakah Indonesia perlu berhutang? Jawabannya ya. Karena kamu terlalu berharga, pemerintah ingin kamu bahagia, dan tahu kalau kebutuhanmu itu nggak bisa ditunda. Lalu, jika memang negara perlu berhutang, apakah negara mampu melunasinya? Simak di video berikutnya, dan sampai jumpa.
So from that video, we can learn that the importance of public debt for the country itself.
Utang.
If
tentang
way
utang.
for like the
Sebagian
country
besar dari kita pasti
Indonesia
udah paham
have
banget
enough
apa itu
money,
utang.
it will be
Entah
like
berutang
take
atau
longer
mengutangi,
time
kita
to have
pasti
that.
pernah melakukannya
So
di kehidupan sehari-hari.
Indonesia will
Nah,
left
yang
behind
akan
by the
kita
other
bahas
country,
bukan
and
tentang
it
utang ke
takes
teman,
longer time
atau
for
ke
the
mantan
country.
pacar,
That's why
atau
we need
utang yang ada di
cut
bilik
that
batu.
to keep continuing to
Tapi ini
develop
utang
all
pemerintah negara
the
kita,
infrastructure of
Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Mari kita mulai dengan pertanyaan, jika kita boleh berutang, apakah negara juga boleh melakukannya? Terus, kenapa ya? Dan apakah perlu?
Be able enough
Faktanya,
to
Indonesia
pay
adalah
all the
rumah bagi
debts,
ratusan juta
because
jiwa
as we
yang
know,
kebahagiaannya
Indonesia
menjadi
has a
PR untuk kita
high
semua.
amount of
Rumah
debt.
bagi aku,
We need to
lagi mantau timeline si dia, ada yang bagi-bagi cerita nih. Emang bener ya Indonesia nggak mampu melunasi utangnya?
Masa sih? Gini. Sebetulnya sejak negara kita merdeka, kita sudah menerbitkan surat utang untuk biaya perjuangan mempertahankan kemerdekaan. Memang sih, utang kita sekarang sudah setara kayak ongkos 12.000 kali keliling dunia pakai ojek online.
Loh, kok banyak banget?
Hehehe, sebentar. Dalam melihat keuangan negara, kita nggak bisa melihat utang dari jumlahnya aja. Coba bayangin, jika tiap bulan kamu punya penghasilan 1 juta dan cicilan sebesar 2 juta untuk beli mobil impian. Sedangkan si dia, sang influencer, punya penghasilan 20 juta dan cicilan rumahnya sebesar 5 juta. Kalau kita cuma lihat dari jumlahnya, kita pasti tahu siapa yang punya utang lebih besar. Tapi tunggu dulu, sebenarnya siapa sih yang lebih mampu melunasinya? Kemampuan dia dalam membayar sama kayak negara yang dilihat dari kemampuan ekonominya, atau biasa disebut PDB. Semakin tinggi PDB, semakin tinggi pula potensi pendapatan negara. Jadi, bukan nominal yang seharusnya membuat kita khawatir. Faktanya, hampir tidak ada negara yang tidak berutang. Dan rasio utang pemerintah berada pada posisi yang aman dan sangat jauh dari batas maksimal yang ditetapkan. Kebijakan defisit ini pun adalah wujud kesepakatan antara pemerintah dan wakil rakyat, di mana angkanya akan turun perlahan seiring terpenuhinya kebutuhan pembangunan. Indonesia juga dinilai sebagai negara layak investasi loh. Dan utang pemerintah tidak beresiko membahayakan negara. Ini nggak main-main, karena ditetapkan oleh 5 lembaga pemeringkat kredit kelas dunia. Jadi, masih nggak percaya? Karena meskipun berutang, kondisi keuangan negara kita baik-baik aja loh. Lalu, apakah Indonesia mampu melunasi utangnya? Jawabannya, ya. Oke, dari mana sih asal utang pemerintah itu? Simak di video selanjutnya dan sampai jumpa.
From this video, we learned that
Lagi mantau timeline si dia, ada yang bagi-bagi cerita nih. Emang bener ya Indonesia nggak mampu melunasi utangnya?
Masa sih? Gini. Sebetulnya sejak negara kita merdeka, kita sudah menerbitkan surat utang untuk biaya.
From the paper we provide with two questions. The first is how did COVID-19 increase the country's debts? There is two aspects: increase Indonesian spending and reduce tax revenue. Increase Indonesian spending, specifically on health, because we were in the crisis situations when COVID-19 hit our country, because we have no idea and everything completely changed. Like the government made new policies or something to maintain the economy, to maintain everything under the control. The second is reduce tax revenue by taxes. As we know that taxes is very is actually the public revenue that has significant numbers such as 70 to 80%, if I'm not mistaken. So because of COVID-19 in our country, and actually it reduced the state revenue from taxes, because many people lose their jobs, and it also affects another tax because they lose their jobs, they also lose their income, right? So it's gonna be hard for them to buy something. I mean, to produce something. The the last question is, what step does the government takes in allocating the debts? There's three. First, prioritizing of expenditures, debt risk management, and oversight by independent institutions. Prioritizations of expenditures. So government must prioritize their expenditures to ensure that borrow funds are allocated efficiently, because it really matters. And also debt risk management. Effective debt management is a crucial to minimize risk associated with borrowing, and it can be by assessing debt sustainability or even diversifying the funding resources, and oversight by independent institutions, because actually it has a vital role in answering transparency and also accountability. uh, I think I've talked a lot about sovereign debt, but I haven't mentioned about the definitions of sovereign debt or public service. Definitions of review of sovereign debts as per law number 1 year 2004. Sovereign debt is the amount of money that the central government is obligated to pay, and or the central government's obligations that can be valued in money based on applicable laws and regulations, agreements, or based on the valid clauses. So, to make it you easier, the meaning of sovereign debt is actually when the government borrow money within the country or outside the country. There's two types of public debt. The first is external debt, and the second is internal debt. What is external debt? So external debt is the government's borrowing from abroad or internationals, and the internal debt is the government's borrowing within the country itself. The purpose of debt itself is health measures, social safety nets, economic stimulus, infrastructures development, addressing budget deficit, reducing long-term economic impact. Health measures I've mentioned on the slide before, that when COVID 19 hit our country, like the government the government pay more attention to how actually we solve those problems, such as by some medicines, and also increasing the facilities and the other things. Social safety nets actually where the fund is used to protect the society. I mean, the impact is society, and it aims to decrease the burden to economy and society that lose their jobs or they lose their revenue because of the pandemic. And the third one is economic stimulus, and these funds are needed to promote economic recovery and maintain business continuity. The benefits of that: accelerating economic growth, improving quality of life, diversification of financial resources, and enhancing global competitiveness. I think I've mentioned before, the debt can enhancing the global competitiveness, because if we wait actually for Indonesia have enough money, we're left always behind, because times will always continue on it, and we need to actually adjust with the lots of situations, and we need that infrastructure. We need that infrastructure's development to be continued, not to be postponed. And then by that, Indonesia or the government needs to have the aerial depth measurements, or I can say aerial depth measurements is actually the process of establish and execute all the strategy for managing the government's debts, and in order to raise the required amounts of funding and achieve its risk and cost objectives and meet any other sovereign debt management goals and the government may have set, such as developing and maintaining an efficient market for governance securities. Um, there's actually the components of ideal debt management itself. There's four. First, fractionary principles, diversifications of um, financing resources, use them for productive investments and transparency and also accountability. When we talk about public debt, we will find the multiple effect of debts. Um, to make you understand, I'll give you an example. If the government spend money of infrastructures and these spendings create jobs and income for workers who then spend their earnings further stimulating the economy. So that's called multiplier effect. And the multiplier effect of debts actually illustrate how strategic government borrowing can lead to significant economic benefits and across various sectors. In implementing the debts, the ideals, the country must face the name of the challenges and the risk in managing debt. Um, there are exchange rate fluctuations, rising global interest rates, and dependence on foreign debts, budget imbalance, and global economic uncertainty. This actually the main challenge and risk that the governments face when they trying to manage or to allocate the debts. And I think that's all for my presentations, but I will conclude these presentations. So the conclusions of the sovereign debt or public debt management is the post COVID-19 pandemic shows that the debt has really significant role in supporting economics and recovery and for national development. So the government must ensure that the debt is utilized and allocated for productive investments to support sustainable growth and avoiding getting trapped in intractable debt cycles. So I think that's for all my presentation. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. So I hope this presentation will be um, understandable and also you guys have a new insight for listening these presentations. Thank you so much. I will say bye bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.